Good morning, fellows of a divergent type, udder hudders, adults in high definition. Today is a sad day as we say a fond farewell to the original lumpy jumper, the lady with islands in the stream, who worked 9 to 5 past. R.I.P. Dolly Parton. Sad day, isn't it? Isn't it a sad day? Islands in the stream, that is what we are. No more in between. How can we be wrong? Sail away with me to another world, and we rely on each other. Well, I guess she's in heaven, if there is such a place. I guess she's with Kenny Rogers, who she recorded that very song with. I think it might have even been the year I was born. Might not be. I might have made that up. But yeah, so I don't really have a topic today, but I just thought, it might be nice to just pay a little respectio to our Dolly. What a character she was. This totally Western American female, pint size in height, always acknowledged in that era as the woman of breastage, the mammarian original, the OG of boobiness. But what a voice and a character, strength of character over the years. I think she faced a lot of, I've read it, and this is where, this is quite an ADHD topic. So I've always had a bit of a fixation with celebrities, but only after they're dead. Okay, so I remember, and I go back to 1987. Hands up if you were born in 1987. So I always go back to 1987 when it was the 10th anniversary of this fella called Elvis Presley, who died 10 years before. And I watched a programme on it. I was down at my grandparents', I remember that, in Devon, and in a little village called Limpstead, and I was sat on the floor watching this documentary about the king of rock and roll. I was quite fascinated. And I remember thinking, he got really fat, and they showed some bits of him, towards the end of his life and his last concert, and he was a very different man. But I just remember being kind of mesmerised by this, what seemed like, this perfect self-esteem, this huge, natural phenomenon, this beauty, this great voice, this kind of perfection. And yet I was also kind of confused about the fact that this seemingly perfect human had lost his way in the last 3-4 years of his life and died at what seemed like an early age. I mean, I didn't necessarily think of him as young, because he was 9 years older than my mum. So even then, when he actually died, my mum was 43. So he was 42 when he died. She was 43 when I watched this thing, and I'm 51 now. That's the passage of time. But at the time, obviously, I was 12. I was 12 years old, and I remember thinking to myself, this is fascinating, And I started then getting obsessed, and this is when I think my first memory of hyperfocus really kind of kicked in, because it was every song. It was an obsession. He was the only music that I wanted to listen to. I learned all the words to his songs. I wanted to learn to play guitar. I did learn to play the guitar. And that was all from this thing. But buying a guitar from an old school friend for like a tenner, nylon acoustic, and and I'd never really stuck to anything as hobby wise. Ed's messaged. And this was the first thing that I actually started to read books about, try chords, because I needed to be Elvis. I see a change that's coming to our lives. It's not the same as it used to be, and it's not too late to realize our mistake. We're just not right for each other. So I learned all of that, and then the next one, and because I was obsessed with him right until the next one happened, and the next one happened in, I think it was about 1990. No, it was 91. I remember the announcement of this guy's death, and I think 93 was the year I was kind of this obsession really got underway. I was starting to listen to Queen. We'd already got the Works album when it came out. But Freddie Mercury was another one, this charisma that came off the screen, this kind of effervescent, super confident, massive self-esteem. And yet he was dead at 45. And I'm thinking, okay, now. So the secret to happiness, the secret to a long life isn't fucking happiness. The secret to a long life is clearly being utterly fucking miserable. Because these two massively confident, full of self-esteem and self-worth gentlemen had died at what seemed to be a relatively young age. And I was, what was I, 16, I guess, when Mercury died, and I was about 18 when I really started getting into the idea of his music, and had seen a couple of articles about him when he was really ill, and I bought the Innuendo album, and suddenly kind of everything really made sense. Those were the days of our lives, and just the genuine, show must go on, blimey, all of those things. And it's funny what you get obsessed by. And I've put a label on it. We talk about RSD, we talk about abandonment all the time, we talk about being let down by those nearest and dearest to you that you should be able to rely on in life. And here am I obsessing over some dead people that could never let me down and leave me. Anyway, I've come to the end of this talk because I've parked up at the office and I need to go in and do some work. Have the best day.